Slavery. It used to be legal everywhere and practiced everywhere. In the 21st century, it's illegal, but guess what? It's still practiced everywhere. Next, we'll talk to a man who's been there, who's lived a slave's life.
This program was made possible by funding from the UCF Global Perspectives Office.
Hello and welcome to the Global Perspective Show. I'm John Bercia, Special Assistant to the President for Global Perspectives at the University of Central Florida. Our topic today is human trafficking, an issue that many of us are not that familiar with. It's been called slavery, it's been called by other names. It's a very prevalent problem in the world of the 21st century. Our guest today is Francis Bach. He's a man who's lived the issue. He's a former slave from Sudan. Today he's an abolitionist and the author of a book, The First Contemporary Slave Narrative, Escape from Slavery. Welcome, Mr. Bach.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Well, why don't we start at the beginning? Tell us how all of this started for you, where you were as a child when your world suddenly changed.
This horrible story of mine and the story of my people, in my generation, it started when I was a young boy, 7 years old, in 1986. That was the time I was sent by my mother to go to a local marketplace where these angry fundamentalists, Arabs and Islamists, Arab Bagara or Arab Janjaweed, came and stormed the markets and they killed the man brutally. I watched the men and women were killed around me. And that day, I became a victim of slavery. I was taken up to northern Sudan, where I served the northern Sudanese militiaman as his property. Where,
well, tell us, and how were you transported from your village up to northern Sudan?
Well, after they destroyed, this militiaman destroyed and killed the man, in particular the marketplace, and also stealing our livestock. And rounding up all the women and children. And just to be clear, when I mention women, it's not randomly every kind of women. They only select the women that are still physical and strong. And the old one, they abandoned them. So we were taking up to the north, and the young kids who cannot walk, because it's a very long walk, they actually put them on the donkeys. I was actually riding donkey along with other kids. We were put in a sort of basket. I don't know how to describe it, the best description I could give. And that's how I made it to northern Sudan and spending the next 10 years serving the militiaman who participated himself on that raiding.
Well, tell us, early on you tried to escape. What was the result of that?
Well, I first attempted to escape, and this is 7 years after I was taken to that village. And I have learned that I was completely dehumanized. I was actually denied not even to be around people. I was forced to sleep with the animals, near to the animals. And I was in shock or surprised with the animals that they have, because my people, the Dinka tribes, are the cattle people. And my own family, my father is actually earned a lot of cattle. But I was actually shocked how the young, boy like my age, 7 years old, being actually put far away from the people, nobody even guiding him, nobody even mentoring him. So, and I knew I was in the wrong place with the wrong people. So I decided to escape. And it was a very hard decision for me to make, because I was too young at the time and I didn't know my way where to go. Because when I was brought into that community 7 years before I first attempted, I was too young. And I didn't know the language they speak, because they speak Arabic and I speak Dinka, which is my native language. However, I attempted to run away early one morning, because I'm the first one to wake up in the morning. and I'm the last one to go to bed. That was my life routine. So one of the morning, I don't know, I assume might have been 4 in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning, and I ran away, and my master cousin was watching over me. So he returned me home, and I was beaten, and I was threatened not to escape again by machine gun.
But you did. You escaped again.
I did. I actually, after I was captured back the first day, I waited for 2 days, and I said to myself, I would rather die than being slave, because I hate the way they treat me and also the way they treat other slaves. And I have witnessed other slaves, both boys and girls, being treated the same way. And the worst one that I actually made my mind to run away from these people, I knew that one day they will hurt me. They will torture me, because there was a boy who just neighboring us, who actually working with a cousin of my master, who one day refused to go after the camels. His master, one of the richest guy in the area with the camels, and the boy was sick. They could see it and smell it. But he was not given that chance to stay home. So he told his master, I'm not going to do this work today. And with that, not actually listening to his master said he's lazy. And what he did was he cut off his left leg. He said, we will make you stay home. And that's how they tortured that young man. And I was brought to that house, particularly to see and to be eyewitness what may possibly happen to me if I actually resisted or refused not to do what my master actually commanded me to do. And that's what I said to myself, it wouldn't be matter how long I will be with these people or serving them or doing what. They were still not going to appreciate all that I do, or even recognizes me, or one day free me and treated me equally like other human being or like them.
So you escaped again, and that also failed.
So the second attempt, I call it, I think it's a God who saved me that day. Is a God who probably told him not to kill me. Because the second attempt, it was one of the most dangerous one. It wasn't dangerous at the time I left, because I left about same time as the first one in the morning. But my master was very curious and very cautioned after my first attempt. So he allowed me to walk about a mile from the house. And then he got on his horse. And this horse, he doesn't ride this horse except only on the special occasion, important occasion, because this is one of the fastest and the strongest horse that he has. So he got on that horse and he took his gun with him. When he came near me, he told me, stop and lie down on my chest and give him my hand and my leg behind me. And with the rope, he actually tied me and I was dragged home. That day, I thought that was going to be the day he would kill me. And he actually said it. After I was brought home, he said, today is your last day on the earth. And I remember his wife, her name's Hawa. And this is really, it made me think about what such a horrible woman she was. Because she was saying to him, what are you waiting for? Why can't you just shoot him? Or let me just kill him like a chicken. Or call my brother or even my son Ahmed to shoot him. But I was saying why she hated me. She has children. And during that moment when Juma was standing, Juma is my former master, standing in front of me, and his gun was loaded and ready to shoot me, I just closed my eyes and said, God, don't let him kill me. I have hope in the future. And I also said, I love my parents. I want to see them again. And during that moment, I don't know what happened. I think Juma left, and I was left tied up for several hours, and I thought that I would never walk again normally. But thank God that all the wounds and all the injuries that I got from the long tied up, healed, and I'm today walking in my own feet and healthier. There's a lot of scars I still have in my leg, but I survived. That second attempt made me waited for 3 long years again.
And then the third time you succeeded.
So the third time is 3 years later, which was in 1996. I was 17 years old that time. And that time, I actually decided with determination and also saying to myself, I'm not a 7 years old anymore. I'm a grown-up man, and I think I could resist and fight back if anybody captured me, because I want my freedom. I want to go back and live my life. I came from the family who loves me, who always come to me every morning and every evening before I go to bed. We love you. Who cares for me? And I can't be in this situation anymore. So my third attempt was very successful. God has really guided me and delivered me until I made my way to another town called Mutare. And with the help of the truck driver, and by the way, this is very important here, because the truck driver that I'm about to describe, he's a northern Sudanese and he's a Muslim. His name Abdurrahman. And he actually took me first to his house, and I stayed with him for 2 months. The same man actually paid for my bus ticket, or lorry ticket, rather, to make my way to the capital city of Sudan, Khartoum. I was in a refugee camps called Jabarona in Khartoum, where I would help again by the southern Sudanese, and particularly for my tribe, through black market, and making my way to Egypt early 1988, taking a train from Sudan to Sudan and Egypt border in a place called Aswan, Alpha. And from Alpha, I took a boat towards Red Sea to Egypt, to Aswan, and then taking another train, I don't know how, 2 of them, and eventually end up in Cairo. And when I first ended up in Cairo, I didn't even know where to stay and who to stay with, because I didn't have a family member and I didn't know anybody. And I was like just street boy. Everyone sees me, particularly when I arrived at one of the busiest city in Cairo, in Tahrir, the train stations. Everyone sees me and they thought I was a street boy because I didn't have bag, I didn't have anything, not even nice clothes on. And finally, I was taken by a taxi driver to one of the church that accommodates the new arrivals, Southern Sudanese and others who come to Egypt and without having family and money to pay their own rent. So I spent 22 days in one of the Catholic church called Sekakini in Abbasiyah, Cairo, until I was actually invited to stay one of the family. And this person who invited me to come and stay with him is one of the leaders in my community. It's a man that I called him my father at the time. He was living in a 2-bedroom apartment with his 13 children and wife. So you can imagine how kind this person, is. And his name Pio Tem. I stayed with him in Cairo, and I remember I and his 7 boys, we share either balcony and some small aisle and living room. This is where our blankets, where we sleep and lay down, and it's a very hard situation, but we survived there until I went to United Nations and I presented my case there like other immigrants who applied for refugee status. And it took me another 1.5 years until I was granted that opportunity to be resettled to USA to Fargo, North Dakota in late of 1999.
So then you came here and then began a new chapter in your life. You were no longer a slave in Sudan. You were a free person in the United States, and you decided that you immediately wanted to get into the work of exposing this problem and talking about what had happened to you. So you became an abolitionist, and you are an abolitionist to this day. Now, you were in Fargo, North Dakota, and then you lived somewhere else in the Midwest, in Kansas for a while.
Actually, when I first came, I was, yes, indeed, in Fargo, North Dakota, and then in May of 2000, 2000, I actually decided to move to Iowa. Not actually, I didn't decide it. I didn't even choose. I chose Iowa blindly. I didn't even know, because I was struggling with the weather in the Midwest, particularly in Fargo, North Dakota. And I would tell my sponsor, Barry Nelson, with the Lutheran Social Services, that I'm not happy. I'm very happy that I have actually made it to this country, that now I'm living my life in the way that I can live it. But I want to be around the people that I could communicate with them, because I don't speak English when I first came to this country. So they mentioned 4 major cities. They mentioned Iowa, because they have a lot of South Sudanese population in Iowa, and they mentioned also Houston, Texas, and Phoenix, Arizona. And I just said Iowa. I have no idea what I was choosing. And I thought the weather climate will be actually different or better than in Fargo. But unfortunately, I ended up in Iowa. But the good news is when I actually went to Iowa, I got to reunite with the family that used to help me in Egypt. And I stayed with them, and they got me a job at the meat company, and I got a job also at the hotel. I was working 2 jobs, except only Sunday, the day that I request for my laundry and also to cook for myself and to visit some neighbors. Until May of that year, of 2000, I actually was invited by the modern-day abolitionist group in Boston called American Anti-Slavery Group. And I came to Boston to visit what they were doing, and I was very much moved and inspired and so appreciative to Dr. Charles Jacobs, whom I call my American father, who then convinces me with the work that they have done on behalf of my people, advocating the issue of slavery in Sudan and globally. So I said that if someone who's not a Southern Sudanese and not a Sudanese could be so concerned, so committed, so dedicated, why not me? I told Charles Jacobs that, Charles, I don't have what it takes maybe now, but I hope one day I will have an opportunity to share my story, and that story will inspire people, educating them about what's happening in my country, because over 2 million, including my own biological parents, were killed during that war. And yet, the international community turned their back on us. And yet, there's no action being taken. And this is the time for me. I will use my freedom here to help free my people. I said to Charles, what is good, my freedom, if my people are still dying? What is good, my freedom, if my people are still in slavery? So I decided, going back to Iowa and giving two-week notice to both my work. And I told them that I'm actually quitting. I quit those 2 jobs, and I moved to Boston in May of 2000, May 14, and I since then started speaking locally in Massachusetts at churches, at middle school and high school and colleges, including having a panel on about slavery at the Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University, and widely spreading all over the U.S., including North America. So it has been really a great opportunity, and by the way, it was really a right choice for me. I started my abolitionism in the city that very famous of that nature, because Boston, Massachusetts is actually a central of abolitionism. And I was so proud that I started my abolitions in that city and to be a part of this historic work that I do on behalf, not only on behalf of the people of South Sudan, but on behalf of all humankind.
So today, do you feel that there is more awareness about the problem? Are people and non-governmental groups and governments working harder to address and diminish the problem of slavery?
I would say yes. I would say yes, and I will say yes, particularly because of the reason opportunity for my people that gives me big smile and a lot of optimism of the future, brightest future that ahead of us. That awareness that I have done, and the modern-day abolitionist groups like American Anti-Slavery Groups, Sudan Sunrise, and many other organizations out there who are doing good things, had actually educated the American public and American government, and it really pressured the government in particular to make a different and decision that will lead into a lasting peace in my country. And I would use my country as an example, the champion of this, because we actually managed it after all this. And I'm not talking in slavery. In particular, I was actually disappointed from our both governments, the South Sudan government and the Northern government, when they actually accorded the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in Naivasha, Kenya in 2005. They did not mention anything about slaves. They did not mention about those still held in bondage, whether they will be released. And I doubted even they will be released by the captors, because they're the resource for them. They're the one that work for them as cheap laborers. There's no way you will give up the cheap labor, someone who can actually farm for you for free, cultivate, and do whatever that they do for them. But I'm so happy that there are some other barriers that they're able to come together as a people, and that is the referendum. The referendum which just gave my people to determine and to choose their own future fate, which my people, both in 8 countries in diaspora and at home in Sudan, both South and the North, had overwhelmingly chose or voted in favor of self-determination, which lead to the highest percentage of 98.83% in favor of independent country. And now the world has the newest nation that joining in, that will
The new country of
the
South
new
Sudan
country of South Sudan.
joining
We are,
the
we are
international
so
community.
happy, and the struggle continue. It's struggle continue for those who are still yet to be free. People like myself could never, lay back and say I'm free at last until everyone is free, because I know I'm speaking as a victim. I'm speaking as someone who had experienced this thing that I'm talking. I'm a living proof. And I don't know how many former slaves are still out there. And this is something that gives me a great pride and an opportunity to represent millions of men and women who are still held in bondage and still trafficked in all these nations, who make every little sacrifice to live their own small property and come to America with the better promise and the future, and some end up being slave technically. And this is why the definition of slavery is so broad. There are many ways that people can be easily slave in this country. And human trafficking has actually dedicated that those, who are in slavery in the U.S., those who come and work for no pay under threat of violence. And you can actually term that, because that's what it is. I was actually taken from my village to northern Sudan, working for no pay under threat of violence. And the same thing happened to many women in prostitution. These are the things that we as the people must address them and must make sure that they are being addressed by our governments.
But in the end, it's all forced servitude. You don't have the choice of leaving. You don't have the choice of saying no. And, these have really become disposable people, as one of the abolitionists has coined the term. Now that you've been working as an abolitionist for a decade, do you feel that the possibilities are good for 10, 20, 30 years from now, that we will begin to decrease the presence of slavery in the world, that we can actually move in the direction of eradicating the problem once and for all?
I would say, John, there's no permanent situation on this planet. There is absolutely no permanent situation. Everything subject to change. Why can't it be changed? I think we are making progress already. If the people of Mauritania and Northern Africa are able to abolish and eradicate slavery once and for all some years ago, why can't it be also in Sudan? If the people of the United States made it through the civil rights, but was led by the late Euro, the son of this country, Dr. Martin Luther King, who fought for civil rights. Slavery was abolished and eradicated in this country in 1865. Today, this country is better off, despite some other little things that are still going on. It is better off than before. We are actually making progress, and we are actually decreasing it. and can be decreased if we all actually speak up for it and say this is wrong. We have to acknowledge it first. It is wrong. No man, no woman, no child, nobody deserves to be treated or dehumanizing and enslaved. We all deserve to live as we all wish to live and be who God created us to be.
Yes.
So we cannot overpower and overlook and actually treat others less than us. I like to be treated like the way you want to be treated. And I should respect your dignity so we all can live together in peace and harmony and prosperity, that each of us respect others. So yes, we're making progress. The people like Dr. Bell, Kevin Bell was Disposable People, the wonderful book that actually exposed a lot about slavery. And in many other heroes out there has stated clearly, and that now our State Department here in the United States has been reporting yearly about this. And I think that already gives a chance of change. Because when people are aware more about this, they actually talk about their communities. They make a difference. They pressure their authorities and those in the governing authorities, and they make a difference. They eradicate. So I see some progress, and I'm so proud that my new nation that's coming will be free out of this. Will be free, will be just because we are going to adapt the Western democracies. We are going to definitely strict into that. Because,
Well, on that note, let me thank you. We appreciate having you today, Francis Bach.
Thank you.
And thank you. For the Global Perspective Show, I'm John Bercia. We'll see you next time.
This program was made possible by funding from the UCF Global Perspectives Office.